we have a caller that I think might be interesting to us. I'm going to go ahead and put this person right here up on the show. We are talking right now to Val, she, they, it, out of Canada, an atheist. What if cryptids were real? You're on Talk Heathen with Cynthia McJackson. And me.
Yeah.
How are you doing, Val?
I'm having a really good time. It's spooky season, and that's my favorite season.
Yep.
Yeah.
Hopefully y'all I see y'all are definitely having a good time.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, we are.
For sure. But yeah, I just kind of want to do the quick preamble. I don't believe that there are any cryptids that exist currently because we don't have enough evidence to believe in that. I am an atheist.
Yeah.
But they're cool and it's spooky season. So I was just sort of wondering, like, if there is one, like out of all of like the Loch Ness Monster, the Mothman, Rougarous, all that good stuff.
Yep.
Like, which one do y'all feel would we most likely discover if it was real?
I would definitely say maybe the Yeti. What is it? The
Abominable snowman? Is that what you're going for?
Yeah. Maybe the Yeti, the abominable snowman, would actually be a throw off of a polar bear. And all of a sudden, be a thing. And the only reason why I'm saying this is because I've watched many a movie where a Yeti, an abominable snowman, would be a character. Yeah. So this is not based in anything scientific, or I use no epistemology method in order to come up with my answer. This is completely conjecture and off at the top of my head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a tough one. Which one's
what were you thinking?
Which one do I think's most likely? Oh God. I guess this is a real good question for Dan. Objectively, Dan. Objectively speaking, this is a great question for Objectively Dan because he does Truth Wanted on Friday nights and covers this material. But I had a friend who listened to a lot of who's that Bobo podcaster who gets in all kinds of trouble putting his foot in his mouth, the former fighter, Joe Rogan. Listens to a lot of Joe Rogan, right? And I don't think he has as much caution when it comes to listening to Joe Rogan as maybe he ought to. But he was a big fan of Bigfoot, cryptids. I've been to Bigfoot country, supposedly. And what my question is, if no one has detected this cryptid, this macro cryptid, and we don't have we would hunt for them, right? We would have to figure out what they eat.
Yeah.
What their migration season is.
Right.
Their breeding habits.
Yeah, indeed.
What are the things that we need to know about for animals? I mean, those kind of things. And yet this particular cryptid managed to evade all of our normal traps of life. I think I like the idea of there being I guess is it a primate? Is Bigfoot supposed to be descended from man?
He is a primate. And technically, so would have been Yetis. And to kind of cut in is that I am also kind of on, if there's something that's real, it's probably some sort of great ape, like a Bigfoot type creature that exists. Because I moved from Louisiana to Canada, right? So I've crossed, I drove from that area. Yeah. And there is a lot of North America that is just untouched and undiscovered. And if you look, and this is why I think Bigfoot is the most likely, when you look at how we thought gorillas were extinct for so long, and then when we actually penetrated just a little bit of that jungle and was able to find entire families of gorillas sort of thing. So I would think that if there was something, I would see a giant primate living in the Canadian wilderness. Could be decently likely or probable. We'll say not impossible, the most probable. That being said, I don't believe in these things.
Yeah.
I also don't whistle in the woods. And if I saw something, no, I didn't.
Okay.
Well, here's something else. Do we not, there are primates, there are New World primates, right? So we're thinking there's two options here as I see it. And you know, people in the chat, go ahead and roast me if there's more options. Let your love flow over this conversation. But either Bigfoot and their ilk came over whenever those earlier primates came over, when maybe perhaps there was like a Pangea kind of a situation. I don't know what the name of that particular supercontinent might be. Or they came over on the land bridge. Third option, they snuck aboard a vessel of some kind, right?
The other vessel.
Yeah.
With a pirate.
Stowaways.
Stowaways on a pirate ship.
Good stowaways too. They didn't get caught.
Yeah.
So, is your thought of the most likely explanation of how these big feet came about in North America?
Not little feet at all.
Not little feet. No. They call us.
No, not
feet.
tiny.
Yeah. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think they probably paleontology and evolutionary biology is like a special interest of mine.
Okay.
So I think that they definitely probably would have come and migrated, if quote unquote, with early humans, because if you look at the way that the continents were, like Pangea is really, really freaking old, and primates definitely didn't exist during Pangea.
Right.
So, like, it definitely would have been like an ice age, a very similar ice age migration.
Right.
Because otherwise, unless they swam or they rode woolly mammoths, I don't know.
Oh.
I don't think this.
But wait, do we?
That is some art to put in chat.
Were there not multiple supercontinents? Pangea is merely but one in the ungodly old Earth theory.
Sure.
Capital T, but it's just a theory.
Right.
What were some of the subsequent supercontinents after Pangea, or was Pangea the last one? I don't even know.
Oh no, they had separated by the time that there were primates on the evolutionary stage.
Okay.
Our continents were pretty much in the same place that they were for the Cretaceous period, and when the meteor struck, we just have less water. But they were in their place 65 million years ago, pretty much in the same space that we are now. So since our ancestors have survived the primordial ooze as mammals, the continents have been where they are.
You know, I just came up with a
I
new.
I don't think they would have come. Yeah.
I just came up with a new possible source of Bigfoot.
Really?
Yeah, I did. I didn't. I should have gotten my phone out so I could. I'm not near a toilet. Well, I'm near a toilet. It's down the hall, but
down the hall to the right.
That research that everyone's doing involves sitting on the toilet and doing some scrolling.
Yes.
But what about what they call it convergent evolution? Like they separately evolved. Also, we don't know if they're mammals. Frankly.
Oh yeah. Oh man, you never know. They could be aliens. Who knows?
They could be aliens.
They
could be.
They're just one of my favorite like quote unquote theories, not a capital T theory. The things that we sort of like joke about is that Mothman is just like an alien that is coming on like a tourism to just like view the earthly wildlife that exists. That is like one of those weird things in like the cryptozoology that's like thrown around, and I was like, okay, that's fun to think about. Again, preamble, don't believe in any of this, but
I think Arthur C. Clarke said that any technology sufficiently advanced would be indistinguishable from a full body hairsuit, and so that's possible that's an astronaut from another world.
From another world, another galaxy.
Yeah.
Far away.
Last thoughts on this one. What's your favorite ridiculous cryptid? Val.
Ooh. I love rougarous. Rougarous are sort of the lore behind rougarous. Like I said, I'm originally from Louisiana, ended up in Canada because of love and all that good stuff. But I'm also an ex-Catholic, and rougarous have like a lot of lore in Catholicism because they're based on being a terrible Catholic during Lent, you will become a werewolf, apparently. Like, and I'm just like, damn, it hasn't happened yet.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for it. I would like to be the monster girlfriend. But on top of all of that, I recently learned that the Métis people up here in Canada also have a similar story because they're mixed French and Native as well. Mm-hmm. And so they have their own Rougarou story. So it's actually, I like that because of the cultural context for it for me, but that's my favorite cryptid. And then it would be Mothman. So.
Wait. Okay. Mothman? Mothman.
Yeah, M-O-T-H, yeah.
You have any cryptids that stand out?
That stand out to me? I mean, like, I think that the one that stands out to me the most is the one most people know about, of course, is the Loch Ness Monster. Matter of fact, I was watching an old episode of Doctor Who where the Loch Ness Monster was
who was the doctor?
The doctor. Yeah.
Who? Which one?
Which doctor? Tom Baker.
Tom Baker.
Yeah, Tom Baker. The only doctor that I care about.
Yeah.
Was
jelly babies.
Yeah, jelly baby, please. But yes, he was actually giving space to the Loch Ness and say, hey, we're friends now. So, but I think that like one of the lores, and I don't necessarily think that this is a cryptic, but you know, I like it. Duppy.
What's Duppy?
Duppy is a thing from the Caribbean, specifically Jamaica. Mm-hmm. Ghost.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
definitely cryptid.
Yeah.
I would say.
So we heard about stories about Duppy growing up, coming to get you. If you're a bad kid, you know, Duppy gonna come down and take you.
So Duppy is a good being who punishes the wicked?
No, they're Duppies are ghost disembodied entities that come after people when they step out of bounds.
Okay, yeah. So like
but they're not necessarily depicted as good.
There's no due process.
They're just something to come and get you and scare little kids at night to make sure you actually go to bed, eat your supper, do your homework, and things of that nature.
Okay.
Yeah, you know, I was told about Duppy gonna come get you ever so often, especially if you get out of pocket.
We had Duppy growing up. We called it military school. You're going to go to military school if you don't behave yourself. And I thought that was an empty threat, quite honestly. And look where it got me. Right.
Yes.
Val, thank you so much for calling in. I'm going to try to come up with more cryptids to think about because I do think it's funny because you've rejected all of these cryptids, all right? And this is really like a question. Well, let me ask you this: how did you rule out that these cryptids did not exist?
Right.
Because we've got callers who aren't calling right now, who well, some of them are, but not the one that I'm thinking of right now, where there is a filter and it's called it's just everything comes in. And then you have to work to remove the ideas from the bowl of ideas that's in the head. Mm-hmm. How did you rule out that Bigfoot didn't exist? Or is that a bad question?
Currently, no, that's a good question. I think for me currently is we still don't, like, there's a little evidence for some, like, giant primates or whatever, but not enough, I would say, in the fossil record.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
For sure. Like, I'll even go, like, for Loch Ness. Like, there is no way that you can have an isolated plesiosaur in, like, a contained place and not have a breeding population within there, right? And then we're, you know, like, 100% sure that, one, all of the non-avian dinosaurs and all of the marine reptiles from the Cretaceous period are dead. Right. If they weren't, we would have it in the fossil record. So the fossil record is a really good indicator. And the thing is, if we see something in the fossil record that proves something like a chupacabra or a Mothman or any of that, then I'll be like, yo, that's something I want to look into.
Well, what if this is something that that is more recent in history, where maybe there'd be less, they're in an area where fossils don't form some of these beings. They have to be, fossil formation. This is me talking.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen all the time in all circumstances. There are situations
and it can take
where
a long time as well.
take a long time. It could be you're in the wrong biome or something like that where they won't form. So, that for me, I think the question I asked was a bit misplaced, but it's not how did you rule out that these cryptids don't exist, but more like, well, what evidence do they have? And it's always fuzzy pictures. It's always ghost stories of one form or another, right?
And orbs. Don't forget orbs.
Orbs.
Yeah, it's all personal experiences. And, I do adopt the fact that, because, I've had spooky things happen to me, in Appalachia. Like, it's happened, right? But in that case, it was clearly mess. Not me. But it was like, oh, yeah, this is not, this is drugs. But sorry, my ADHD.
No, you're good.
My brain farted. I believe that you had an experience with something spooky or animal-like or crazy or whatnot, but I don't have any reason to believe that it's a monster of some sort. I don't believe that it's a knot deer. I don't necessarily believe that it's a Bigfoot. I think it's interesting enough for you to look into for more evidence to see if that might be what it is. But until there is, clear evidence that it is a creature of some sort that we don't know about, then it's just an experience that you had.
To go back to your original question, which I don't think we never actually answered, was what if cryptids were real? It would be like the discovery of any other kind of animal. And
I agree.
If it were a hominid of some kind, then it would merely change our own understanding of human evolution, of hominid and primate evolution. It wouldn't necessarily upend everything. It would just be another gap filled in our knowledge.
Yeah, same thing like because like even if we think about the oceans, they're still very much so, not as explored as we would like them to be. And we're discovering new fish and other marine life a lot. And I even think of like the angelfish. I don't think that was I think that we discovered that in the 80s or 90s, if I'm not mistaken.
I don't know.
It hasn't.
There was a...
Yeah, go ahead.
It's called the... I don't know if it's the same fish, but there is definitely a fish that was discovered in South Africa. The relicants, I believe it's called. That might be its Pokemon version. I'm not sure. But we were just like, oh, it's in the fossil record. It's clearly an extinct creature. And then we discovered it alive.
Right.
And that's cool, right? And I have to agree that if we found something like a hominid that would prove the evidence that there was a hominid in North America that's not us, it would not be a supernatural occurrence. It's just adding to our natural world.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Now, if we discovered, the Loch Ness monster looks like a plesiosaur or something like that, then we'd have to account for. I mean, it would really change the way we look at survival. I mean, it slept on Loch Ness's bottom for millions of years, and it would change the way we look at hibernation and cryo.
Or maybe there could actually have been like a surviving portion of that population from the meteor shower or what have you that came from down.
Keeping a low profile.
Yeah, but like I said, like remember, they're still discovering marine life now. So I mean, like it could be something that had not been discovered as being alive before, but then all of a sudden they're like, oh wow, these creatures actually exist.
Yeah,
they have a whole population. Maybe not maybe you're endangered. A small population, but they've been going on.
Maybe they don't grant 3 wishes, but they do exist. Val, thank you so much for calling and putting this thought in our heads. Call back again. Find us some more weird cryptids. Tell Objectively Dan about some weird cryptids. I want you to stump that guy.
Yeah.
All right?
Stump. I'll call next time I see Dan and just be like, let's talk about spooky monsters that probably don't exist.
he thinks he knows all the cryptids, but I bet you can stump him. All right. Thanks a lot, Val.